You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. Why isn't her Bronzeface being called out? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Part of the reason why I provide the information that I do is to enable you to understand the behaviours of people. Many prominent individuals, famous individuals and infamous individuals engage in certain behaviours which leave many members of the populace scratching their noggins, thinking to themselves, why on earth did they do that? Why did they behave in that way? What were they thinking? And much of the time, these particular individuals are narcissists, and by understanding narcissism, it enables you to work out why they've done what they've done. It is commonly the case with those that I consult with, primarily helping them with regard to a romantic entanglement and familial entanglement, those are the most common, that afterwards they return and explain to me that as a consequence of my work, not only was I able to help them achieve freedom with regard to the principal entanglement that formed the basis of our professional engagement, but that my work has almost given them a key to understanding much of humanity. They now recognize and understand why their boss behaves the way that they do, or that difficult client behaves in the manner that they do, or the neighbour does. And thus, by understanding narcissism, it enables so many questions about human behaviour to be answered. Now, of course, it's not a panacea, but it does assist with many of the questions that are posed. And on St. Harry's wife, they use her full name, Upbeat Cat 1182 asked, why is Harry's wife not called out for wearing blackface? The commentator writes, piggybacking off my comment on another thread, Harry's wife is using black people for her own agenda. Harry's wife is not black. She has identified as white since adulthood. She has had surgery and undergoes other treatments to minimize her African features. She went to a white college, was in a white sorority, dated white guys, married white guys, and all her friends were white. Since before the engagement, she jumped into her blackness as a method of turning criticism into racism. Since then, she shows up in a black, orange face at most public events. Why isn't she getting called out for this? A legitimate question. I've described it as Bronzeface because ultimately that's more accurate. But of course, what she's seeking to achieve is portraying herself as more African American black than she actually is. The first question to address as to part of understanding why is she not getting called out for this is to ask why is she doing it in the first place. Her narcissism selected that she would identify as white, primarily because she does look white, as I've mentioned before, Hispanic at a push. But most people that would look at her would think, yeah, she's white. And therefore, because of the advantages that came with identifying as white and the fact that she largely looked white, her narcissism adopted that as the baseline for her. Hence, she goes to a white college, has a white sorority, dated white guys, etc., as has been explained in the relevant person's post. It is simply the case that at that point, her narcissism picked what she looked like and ran with it. However, as you know, narcissism is a chameleon. It causes the narcissist to portray whatever image needs to be portrayed in order to get to the prime aims. Often this relates more to the behaviour. So, for example, an individual portray themselves as the church-going, law-abiding family man to maintain a facade. And then in other instances, he's Mr. Lover man, man about town, the Lothario. In other instances, he's the corporate raider, kicking ass and taking names within the corporate environment. whatever is necessary in order to control people, draw fuel from them, gain character traits and residual benefits. But it's not only behaviour that is affected, it also goes in terms of trappings, appearance, certain characteristics. And therefore, it is quite simply her narcissism that decides what we will do is make ourselves look blacker than we actually are for the purposes of triangulating people with that, so that if they say anything that criticises Harry's wife, she can claim you're being racist. As has been said so many times, criticisms of her have not been based on her skin colour. They've not been based upon her quarter blackness. They've been based upon her behaviour. But that's no good to her. Her narcissism needs a peg on which to hang something to enable her to manipulate people, either by way of provocation, by saying and suggesting that someone's behaved in a racist way towards her, and for the purposes of a pity play. Feel sorry for me because people are being racist towards me. Hence, her narcissism is selected, lashing on the bronzer for the purposes of manipulation. She, of course, does not regard herself as being manipulative, as a middle mid-ranger. She is blind to the behaviour. She just puts it on because she thinks it makes her look nice. That's what her narcissism tells her, that she's simply accentuating what she already is. However, what it really is a manipulation, an attempt to portray herself as something that she actually isn't, which, of course, is the life force of the narcissist. That's why she does it. But then, why is she not getting called out for such behaviour? Well, to some extent, she actually is. For instance, I'm pointing it out in this video. The commenter on Reddit did so as well, and there are plenty of people who have identified the fact that she utilises the bronzer, the spray tan. For instance, she was heavily criticised and ridiculed when she appeared as the overripe tomato lady at the Freedom Gala, where you could clearly see the tan lines, showed that she was white and that she had been using spray tan. I think perhaps the commenter is asking, why is the mainstream media not pointing this out? And I suspect it's simply because it might be seen as sailing a little bit too close to being viewed as racist, because it's commenting on her skin colour and the fact that she's trying to make herself look blacker than she actually is. And people are sensitive to such issues in today's climate. In the current climate, people are particularly wary of making such comments. Notwithstanding the fact that perhaps mainstream news doesn't touch it, there are plenty of other people who have identified the fact that she engages in Bronzeface. There are also plenty of other people that regard her behaviour as racist, that it's wrong of her to engage in this Bronzeface behaviour, that she's racist in terms of looking to eradicate or minimise her African features, that she's been racist with regard to the selection of who she has dated, who she has married, etc., and that she is a complete hypocrite for claiming that people have been racist towards her, when actually she is the one that has behaved in a racist fashion. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.